Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? The world is moving incredibly fast, and the sheer volume of information coming at us every day can be, well, truly overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's really tough to stay on top of it all, to truly understand the forces shaping our world without getting sort of lost in just an ocean of headlines.
And that's exactly why we're here today. We've gathered a stack of critical headlines, all hitting the news on September 12th, 2025, and all focused squarely on India, a nation whose trajectory, is increasingly central to global conversations.
Absolutely.
Our mission for you is to cut through the noise, unpack these significant developments, and reveal the intricate, interconnected threads weaving through India's diplomatic, economic, technological, and even sporting landscapes.
You're going to get a clear, concise picture of what's happening and maybe more importantly, why it matters.
Exactly. Offering you a direct path to being genuinely well-informed.
And what strikes me about these sources is their incredible diversity. I mean, we're looking at everything from high-stakes geopolitical statements and major economic maneuvers to domestic political debates, ambitious technological pushes, and even, a peek into the passionate world of cricket.
It covers a lot of ground.
We'll delve into each headline, extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight so you can truly understand the pulse of India today.
Okay, let's get straight to it then.
All right. Our first report takes us straight to Washington, D.C., where President Donald Trump's nominee for U.S. Ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, has been making headlines.
Yeah, with his Senate Foreign Relations Committee testimony.
Exactly. And his core message was pretty unambiguous. India is, and I'm quoting here, one of the most important relationships our nation has in the world.
That's a powerful declaration, isn't it? It really signals a clear strategic direction.
It feels like more than just diplomacy.
Oh, definitely. Gore's testimony actually outlined a comprehensive strategy. It seems built on three crucial pillars for deepening ties: defense, trade, and technology.
Right.
And interestingly, he also emphasized restoring a personal touch to diplomacy. He specifically cited President Trump's close friendship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
That's interesting. He sees that connection holding strong, despite some of Trump's past criticisms, particularly on trade.
Apparently so. That personal connection seems to be part of the calculus here. It adds, like you said, an interesting human element to high-level statecraft.
Okay, but let's look at those pillars. Defense first. Gore positioned India as a crucial strategic partner, particularly in the context of countering China.
Very much so. He explicitly committed to pulling India, quote, firmly to our side.
Firmly to our side. Wow, that's very direct language.
Extremely direct. And he backed it up with pledges to advance joint military exercises, foster co-development, and co-production of defense systems.
Co-production, right. That's significant. Not just buying, but building together.
Exactly. And finalizing key defense sales. It really sounds like a substantial military alignment being pushed.
It clearly signals a strategic pivot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The U.S. viewing India as this natural partner against China's regional ambitions.
Making robust defense cooperation a cornerstone of their Indo-Pacific strategy. Seems pretty clear.
Okay, so moving to trade, the second pillar. Gore endorsed President Trump's Mission 500 goal.
Right, that ambitious target to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030.
$500 billion. That's an enormous economic push.
Yeah.
How does he propose getting there?
Well, he advocated for market reforms within India, the goal being to enhance accessibility and transparency for U.S. businesses. So it indicates a focus not just on the sheer volume of trade, but also on the ease of doing business.
Making it smoother for American companies to operate in India. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's technology, an area of, let's face it, intense global competition right now.
Absolutely critical. Gore highlighted the U.S.-India Trust Initiative. This seems specifically designed to outcompete China in critical emerging domains.
Like what specifically?
We're talking about fields like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and semiconductors, really the cutting edge.
The foundational technologies of the future.
Precisely. And he also vowed to push forward the administration's AI action plan, really underscoring this high-tech focus.
So this technological alignment is paramount then, especially as global powers are vying for leadership in these next-gen fields.
Definitely. And beyond these core areas, Gore also touched on energy cooperation. He promised to increase American oil and LNG exports to India.
Positioning the U.S. as a leading energy supplier. An alternative to other global sources, perhaps.
That seems to be the idea. He also underscored India's critical role in ensuring South Asian stability, asserting that the U.S.-India partnership is poised to be a defining force in the 21st century.
So the sharp insight here, really, is that this isn't just a diplomatic formality. It's not just an ambassador taking up a post.
No, not at all.
Gore's testimony signals a profound U.S. shift. It's like moving from seeing India as this complex balancing act to actively pursuing it as a firm, multi-pillar ally.
A fundamental recalibration of power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific, maybe, more than just a diplomatic overture.
It feels like a full-court press across defense, trade, and technology.
Precisely. It's about strategically locking in what they see as a critical anchor against evolving regional dynamics, aiming for a robust long-term partnership with India.
Now here's where the narrative takes, well, an intriguing turn. It reveals a contrasting, almost contradictory stance within U.S. foreign policy regarding India.
That's right. I saw this too. While Gore is advocating for these deeper ties, a report, I think it was in the Financial Times.
Yes, that's the one.
It reveals the United States is pushing its G7 allies to impose significantly higher tariffs, potentially 50% to 100% on both India and China.
And the reason?
Their continued substantial purchases of Russian oil.
Wow. Okay, that's a stark contrast. On one hand, this huge push for closer alliance, defense co-production, tech partnerships, and on the other, a call for potentially punitive tariffs. What's the stated rationale behind this move?
Well, the stated aim is pretty clear: to curtail Moscow's revenue streams. The U.S. argues these revenues are directly funding Russia's war efforts in Ukraine.
Right.
This initiative is being presented as part of President Trump's broader Peace and Prosperity Administration strategy. It's intended to pressure Russia into peace negotiations.
And they're framing it quite strongly.
Very strongly. A U.S. Treasury spokesperson explicitly framed these tariffs as a penalty for nations indirectly supporting Russia's military operations. They did add the promise that the tariffs would be lifted once the war concludes, but the spokesperson went so far as to directly accuse Chinese and Indian oil purchases of, quote, prolonging the senseless killing of the Ukrainian people.
That's a very pointed accusation.
Yeah.
Directly linking energy purchases to the conflict itself.
Yeah.
How has this proposal been received internationally, especially among the G7?
Well, G7 finance ministers are apparently slated to discuss this proposal soon, maybe in a video call. But it's already facing considerable resistance, particularly within the European Union.
Why the resistance from the EU?
EU officials seem deeply wary of the potential economic repercussions. These high tariffs could trigger retaliation from Beijing and New Delhi, both significant trading partners for the EU. They're worried about the fallout.
So what's the EU's alternative approach?
Instead of endorsing these steep tariffs, Brussels is reportedly considering accelerating its existing plan to phase out Russian energy imports. I think the target is 2027.
Right.
And implementing stricter sanctions. They seem to view this as a more measured approach, perhaps less likely to cause major economic disruption or splits.
So a clear divergence in strategy among the Western allies then. What about Canada? They hold the G7 presidency currently, right?
Yes, they do. Canada confirmed the upcoming meeting and expressed openness to, quote, further measures to increase pressure on Russia and limit their war machinery.
Okay, so maybe some openness there.
It suggests some level of potential support, yes. But the hesitation from the EU undeniably highlights the geopolitical complexity here, especially around energy diplomacy. It really reveals a growing divergence among Western allies on how aggressively to confront nations maintaining energy ties with Moscow. The outcome of these G7 discussions could genuinely reshape global energy trade dynamics and, of course, influence the broader international response to the war in Ukraine.
This presents a fascinating tension for India, doesn't it? On one hand, you have the U.S. ambassador nominee pushing for incredibly deep, multifaceted ties, framing India as this vital strategic partner.
Absolutely vital.
And on the other hand, the very same U.S. administration is advocating for potentially crippling tariffs on India for its energy decisions.
It's quite the contradiction.
The crucial insight here seems to be that India is simultaneously being courted as an indispensable ally and chastised for its sovereign economic choices by the same major power bloc.
Exactly. And that underscores India's really difficult position on this geopolitical tightrope, trying to balance its strategic autonomy, its energy security needs.
Which are significant.
Very significant. With the pressures of aligning with a major global power like the U.S., How India navigates these conflicting signals and pressures, well, that's going to be a defining aspect of its foreign policy in the coming years.
Okay, so from the complex world of international diplomacy, let's shift our focus now. Let's look inward to some significant domestic vibrations within India. Politics, cutting-edge technology, and fundamental questions of electoral trust seem to be colliding in really interesting ways.
Yeah, our next report takes us right into what looks like a political firestorm.
Tell us about it.
This specific incident is proving to be, well, quite controversial. The Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, has strongly condemned the Congress Party
Okay.
for circulating an AI-generated video. And this video features Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his late mother, Hiraban Modi.
Wow, an AI-generated video of his late mother. That sounds incredibly sensitive and potentially provocative.
Extremely. It's a very current example of how advanced technology is, profoundly impacting the very fabric of political campaigning.
What exactly did the video depict? What was the content?
So the video, which was reportedly shared by the Bihar unit of Congress, portrays a fictional dream sequence.
A dream sequence.
Yeah. In it, an AI-generated version of Hiraban Modi appears to confront Prime Minister Modi, and she's criticizing him for specific past political actions.
Like what? What actions?
The video apparently references demonetization, which was a major and controversial economic policy under Modi. It also references a widely circulated personal video of Modi washing his mother's feet.
I remember seeing that.
Right, and it also touches on recent political campaigns in Bihar. The AI Hiraban explicitly accuses Modi of exploiting her image for political gain, essentially framing it as a critique from beyond the grave.
That is a highly charged narrative, especially involving a deceased parent who holds, significant emotional and symbolic weight in Indian public life. How did the BJP respond?
Predictably, their response was immediate and forceful. They accused Congress of repeatedly insulting Hiraban Modi. They also claimed the video was created under the influence of Rahul Gandhi, whom they described as arrogant and anarchic.
So a very strong counterattack.
Absolutely. This reaction really highlights the emotional and political sensitivity surrounding Hiraban Modi's image, especially when it's utilized in such a provocative context using AI.
And you mentioned Bihar. This isn't happening in isolation, right? There are broader political tensions at play there.
Absolutely. This controversy is unfolding amid heightened political tensions, especially in Bihar. Prime Minister Modi himself was recently targeted during a Congress RJD rally there.
How did he respond to that?
Well, Modi responded by framing the remarks not just as a personal affront to him, but as an insult to, quote, every mother, sister, and daughter of the country. He asserted that the people of Bihar share his outrage. It really underscores the escalating intensity of political discourse in India, particularly with elections potentially on the horizon.
This incident just dramatically highlights the growing use of AI in political messaging, doesn't it?
It really does.
The ethical concerns around deepfake content, especially when it involves deceased individuals and these kinds of emotionally charged narratives, like Hiraban Modi's memory, they're clearly coming right to the forefront.
Indeed, this isn't just a political spat. It's like a stark window into the future of election campaigning, where the lines between reality and artificial intelligence are becoming increasingly blurred. The core insight here, I think, is that this incident forces a reckoning with public trust and the ethical boundaries that political discourse simply must navigate in an era of rapidly evolving synthetic media.
So on one hand, we're seeing this cutting-edge technology deployed in potentially deceptive political ways.
Right.
And on the other hand, our next report brings us back to some really foundational elements of democracy, things like electoral rolls and voting processes.
Yes, another significant domestic political development, this one focusing squarely on electoral integrity. A 5-member delegation from the Rashtriya Janata Dal, the RJD, met with the Chief Election Commissioner, Ganesh Kumar, and other election commissioners.
Okay, and what was the purpose of the meeting?
To raise serious concerns about the Special Intensive Revision, or SAR, process currently underway in Bihar. This speaks directly to the core mechanisms of democratic governance.
A revision of the electoral rolls. What were their key concerns about this process?
The RJD delegation detailed several critical issues. Their primary concern, and it's a big one, was the deletion of over 40 lakh, that's 4 million names from the draft electoral roll.
4 million names deleted.
Yes. And critically, they claim this happened without proper notification to the voters affected.
Without notice.
That's the claim. The RJD questioned whether the Election Commission, the EC, had strictly followed its own guidelines. Those guidelines explicitly mandate serving notices to voters whose names are being removed.
So people should know if they're being taken off the list.
Exactly. Buxar MP Sudhakar Singh, who's a part of the delegation, stated that they didn't receive convincing answers regarding whether affected voters were actually given a chance to respond before their names were removed. That's a fundamental procedural concern, right? It directly impacts citizens' right to vote.
Absolutely. 4 million deletions without notification is a substantial number. What was the other major concern they raised?
The second major issue concerned the counting of postal ballots.
Okay, how so?
The RJD argued that postal ballot counting should be completed before the electronic voting machine, or EVM, counting begins.
Why is that sequence important to them?
They emphasize this sequence is especially critical in closely contested seats, where postal ballots can often be decisive. They also cited past elections where concurrent counting both at the same time led to scrutiny and controversy. They're suggesting a need for a more transparent and sequential process to bolster public confidence.
So it's about both the integrity of the voter list itself and the transparency of how the votes are actually counted. Who was part of this RJD delegation pushing these points?
It included some prominent figures, MPs Abhay Kushwaha, Sudhakar Singh, and Manoj Kumarpa, alongside party leaders Chanjan Gagan and Mukund Singh.
And this meeting wasn't just a one-off.
No, apparently their visit was part of broader interactions between various political parties and the EC since Commissioner Kumar assumed office back in February. So it indicates there's ongoing dialogue and scrutiny regarding these electoral processes.
Did the RJD also question the timing of this whole revision process?
They did, yeah. They specifically questioned the urgency of conducting this special intensive revision just months before the upcoming elections.
Suggesting maybe it was rushed.
Their suggestion was that the Election Commission might not have been adequately prepared for such a large-scale revision, potentially contributing to the very irregularities they were flagging, like the notification issue. These concerns reflect broader anxieties within the opposition about electoral fairness and administrative transparency in Bihar.
Okay, so here's a powerful connection maybe between these two domestic reports we just discussed. We've just seen the AI video controversy, where this cutting-edge technology is used to influence perception, potentially distort political reality.
Right, the deep fake issue.
Now we're discussing fundamental, ground-level democratic processes like voter registration and ballot counting, which are facing questions of integrity.
The basic plumbing of democracy.
Exactly. Both incidents, though really disparate in their mechanisms, seem to highlight challenges to democratic integrity and public trust.
That's a really compelling insight. In an age of rapid technological change and intense political competition, democratic institutions face this kind of dual challenge, don't they?
How so?
Well, safeguarding foundational electoral processes from procedural flaws, like the RJD is concerned about, while also navigating the emerging threats of high-tech manipulation, like those deepfakes we talked about.
It raises a really important question then. How do democracies ensure fairness and maintain public confidence when both the basic mechanics and the very fabric of political information are under scrutiny like this?
That's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Okay, shifting gears now. Let's move from those domestic political battles to the dynamic economic landscape in India, where tech ambitions seem to be running headfirst into, well, evolving market realities.
Yeah, our next report highlights a major player in India's IT sector making a pretty significant financial move.
Which company?
Infosys Ltd, India's second largest IT services provider, they've just announced a substantial $2 billion stock buyback.
$2 billion. Okay, why now?
Well, this decision follows a notable slump in its share price. The company's board approved the repurchase of up to 100 million shares at $1,800 each.
And how does that price compare to where it's been trading?
It represents a significant premium over its recent closing price, which was around $1,509. This also marks Infosys's first buyback in nearly 3 years.
So, a $2 billion buyback at a premium price, the first in 3 years.
Yeah.
That feels like a strong signal they're sending. What's the context behind this decision, the share price slump you mentioned?
Well, this buyback comes amid what's been a challenging year for Infosys. Their shares have dropped roughly 20%, which contrasts quite sharply with gains seen in the broader Mumbai market.
Okay.
The company has also issued a forecast of pretty modest revenue growth. They're projecting only 1% to 3% through March 2026.
And what's driving that cautious outlook?
It's attributed to several factors, things like cautious corporate spending globally, partly due to geopolitical tensions we've already touched on, and also the potential impact of trade policies like those under President Donald Trump. clients are being careful.
So they're navigating some pretty turbulent global waters.
Yeah.
How does this move, the buyback, fit into the broader trends in India's massive software services sector?
That's a great question. India's $280 billion software services sector, traditionally a powerhouse for cost-effective back-office solutions, is undergoing a really significant strategic pivot right now.
Towards what?
It's now rapidly shifting towards higher value services, things like automation, cloud computing, and, crucially, generative AI.
AI again.
AI again, all in an effort to secure larger and more complex contracts from multinational clients. So Infosys's buyback, returning capital to shareholders while implicitly investing in itself, it looks like a strategic play, positioning the company competitively in this evolving high-tech landscape.
So it signals confidence, maybe, in their long-term growth prospects, driven by these digital services and emerging technologies like AI.
That seems to be the message, yes. It sounds like a declaration of intent, a belief in the future direction of the industry.
What has been the market's perception of the timing of this buyback? You said it's been a tough year.
Market analysts, including some from Morgan Stanley, have noted the timing as, quote, interesting, particularly given the current macroeconomic uncertainties.
Interesting meaning.
Well, essentially, the move is seen as an effort to reassure investors and stabilize the company's valuation during this period of flux. This decision by Infosys really underscores broader trends in the Indian IT industry. You see firms adapting to slower demand and shifting client priorities.
Right.
By returning capital and focusing on innovation, Infosys hopes to navigate the current turbulence and maintain its leadership position.
So the core insight here is that this buyback isn't just, a financial maneuver. It's more like a statement of strategic resilience and ambition.
That's fair.
It shows how even these industry giants are proactively navigating a volatile global market. They're returning capital to shareholders, yes, but simultaneously doubling down on innovation, fundamentally underscoring their belief in the transformative potential of next-gen tech like AI.
Exactly. It's a calculated move. Stabilize their position and then aggressively push forward into these new growth areas.
And speaking of pushing forward with next-generation technologies, our next report delivers truly blockbuster news on a scale that could fundamentally reshape India's technological future.
This is genuinely massive. OpenAI, the artificial intelligence research and deployment company.
Everyone knows OpenAI.
Right. They are reportedly in advanced discussions with Reliance Industries, led by Mukesh Ambani.
Okay, to do what?
To bring a colossal $500 billion supercomputing project to India.
Wait, did you say $500 billion?
$500 billion. That's the reported figure. This isn't just an investment. It's potentially a transformative national initiative.
$500 billion for a supercomputing project?
Yeah.
That figure alone is
Well,
just astounding.
okay.
What are the primary goals? What's the immense scope of something like this?
Well, the initiative's primary aim is clearly to significantly boost India's artificial intelligence infrastructure, and in doing so, position the country as a global leader in emerging technologies.
How would it work?
This collaboration would apparently involve deploying cutting-edge supercomputing capabilities right across India. The practical implications are enormous. It would enable faster, much more efficient AI model training, advanced data processing on an unprecedented scale, and significantly broader, more democratized access to generative AI tools for individuals and businesses nationwide.
That sounds like it could utterly transform India's digital landscape. What kind of impact could this have on various sectors across the country?
Oh, the transformative potential is immense. Just imagine how this project could support and revolutionize sectors like healthcare improving diagnostics, maybe drug discovery,
Right.
education enabling personalized learning platforms, agriculture optimizing crop yields, finance through AI-driven innovation. It could really accelerate digital transformation nationwide, empower countless startups, and significantly broaden access to advanced AI tools across the entire country. It could fundamentally alter India's technological trajectory.
Why Reliance Industries? Why are they seen as the strategic partner for OpenAI on a project of this, unprecedented magnitude?
Reliance is considered pretty much an ideal strategic partner.
Yeah.
They are such a dominant force in telecom and digital services through their Geo platform.
Huge reach.
Massive reach. They possess vast existing infrastructure, deep market penetration across India, and a strong alignment with national tech ambitions. The partnership would very likely leverage Reliance's existing data centers and extensive cloud capabilities to host and scale OpenAI's models locally, providing the necessary, robust backbone for such an ambitious undertaking.
And how does this connect back to the broader geopolitical landscape we were just discussing in the first segment with the U.S. and China?
Well, this move aligns perfectly, doesn't it? With President Donald Trump's administration's push for technological self-reliance and potentially strategic decoupling from China. By investing significantly in India's AI ecosystem, the U.S., through a company like OpenAI, aims to strengthen ties with a key democratic ally and strategically counterbalance China's growing influence in the global tech arena. It's a geopolitical play as much as it is a technological one, reinforcing this idea of a trusted tech partnership.
That $500 billion valuation, though, it truly underscores the sheer scale and ambition. It suggests a long-term investment across everything: hardware, software, talent development, even regulatory frameworks.
Absolutely. It reflects this growing confidence in India's potential to become a preeminent hub for AI research and deployment on the global stage.
If it happens.
Right. If successful, this initiative would indeed mark a significant milestone in U.S.-India tech collaboration, reinforcing those shared values around innovation, openness, and strategic autonomy. While the final agreement is reportedly still pending, the discussions themselves signal a truly bold vision for India's future in artificial intelligence and supercomputing, positioning it as a major player.
Okay, here's where the overarching economic and technological picture really comes into sharp focus for me.
Yeah.
We just discussed Infosys navigating a challenging economic environment by doubling down on AI through a significant stock buyback. That illustrates an individual corporate strategic pivot.
Right, one major company adapting.
Now we see this potentially even larger, $500 billion potential investment, a collaboration between OpenAI and Reliance, aiming to supercharge India's entire AI infrastructure.
It's a massive leap in scale.
The compelling insight seems to be the sheer scale in this dual-pronged approach.
Yeah.
You've got both established industry leaders like Infosys and these massive national projects aggressively investing in AI. It signals a concerted drive to transform India into a global AI superpower.
Exactly. And this raises a really important question for the listener, I think. How will such massive investments reshape India's role on the global technology stage, not just economically, but strategically, especially when you intertwine it with those geopolitical considerations we touched upon earlier? This leapfrogging potential could position India as a genuine leader in AI, rapidly closing the gap with established tech powers, and maybe fundamentally altering the future of technological leadership in a multipolar world.
All right, so from the cutting edge of AI and economic strategy, let's broaden our view again. Let's look at India's expanding global influence and regional dynamics. Our next report takes us to the Indian Ocean, showcasing India's strategic outreach.
Yes, this development clearly underscores India's proactive approach to regional leadership. India has announced a substantial $680 million infrastructure and aid package for Mauritius.
Mauritius, okay. And you said it's strategic.
It seems to serve a dual purpose. It explicitly reinforces India's strategic presence in the vital Indian Ocean region and simultaneously aims to counter China's growing influence there. So, aid with a clear strategic underpinning.
How did this announcement come about? Was it a big summit?
It followed high-level talks in Varanasi between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Mauritian Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Chandra Ramgoolam. And Prime Minister Modi explicitly described the initiative not as mere assistance, but as, quote, an investment in our shared future. He emphasized the deep cultural and historical ties that bind the two island nations, so framing it as a long-term partnership.
Got it. And what are the specific components of this $680 million package? That sounds quite comprehensive.
It is indeed. The package includes both grants and lines of credit, and it spans several key sectors. In healthcare and education, for instance, major projects are planned.
Like what?
Including the construction of a new Sir Sivasagar Ramgoolam National Hospital, a state-of-the-art AUSH Center of Excellence.
AUSH being India's traditional medicine system.
Exactly. Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy, plus a veterinary school and animal hospital. These initiatives are designed to directly enhance Mauritius's social infrastructure and public services.
Okay, so development aid. But what about the strategic aspect you mentioned, particularly regarding maritime security given the Indian Ocean context?
Right, that's a critical component. India will provide helicopters to bolster Mauritius's surveillance capabilities. That's crucial for monitoring its vast maritime domain.
Especially with island nations.
Precisely. Furthermore, India will support joint hydrographic surveys, essentially mapping ocean depths and features. This cooperation is especially significant given Mauritius's newly expanded exclusive economic zone, the EEZ, in the Chagos archipelago.
Oh, okay.
This move aligns perfectly with India's broader strategic goal of being the first responder and net security provider in the region.
So this aid package is, in effect, a direct and strategic response to China's expanding presence in the Indian Ocean.
It certainly looks that way. This initiative seems like a direct response to China's aggressive expansion, which we've seen through its extensive infrastructure investments and port deals in countries like Sri Lanka and Pakistan.
Right.
By strengthening its partnership with Mauritius, India is actively asserting its leadership and commitment to regional stability and security. And it fits right into its stated neighborhood-first policy, which prioritizes close ties and development assistance with neighboring countries and strategically important partners.
So the key insight here is that this package really underscores India's long-term vision for regional influence, for technological cooperation, diplomatic leadership in the Indian Ocean, positioning Mauritius as a key ally.
Yeah.
It demonstrates a clear, active strategy to assert leadership and commitment to regional stability in what is, let's face it, a critically contested maritime space.
It's a clear signal, I think. India isn't just observing, it's actively shaping the regional security architecture through this blend of development aid and defense cooperation.
Okay. Building on that theme of India asserting its influence, our next report shows India joining forces globally to challenge established norms and policies on an even larger scale.
This indeed marks what could be a significant geopolitical shift. India, alongside Brazil and South Africa, the IBSA countries, essentially is forming a new international platform.
A new platform. For what purpose?
Its specific purpose is to challenge Europe's increasingly stringent climate and trade policies, particularly things like carbon border taxes and new deforestation-linked import restrictions.
Okay, so a united front from major developing economies. What exactly is their main contention with these European policies? Why are they pushing back?
Well, the initiative is set to be formally proposed at the COP30 climate summit in Brazil, and then subsequently presented to the World Trade Organization, the WTO.
Right.
Their aim is to give developing nations a unified voice against what they perceive as unfair trade barriers, basically disguised as environmental regulations.
Unfair trade barriers. How so?
The core disagreement revolves around European measures like the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM.
CBAM, right. Heard about that.
It imposes additional costs on imports like steel, cement, coffee, cocoa, soybeans, all key exports from India, Brazil, South Africa, and other global South nations.
And what is Europe's stated justification for policies like CBAM?
Well, the EU claims these policies are necessary to ensure a level playing field. By matching domestic carbon costs, they argue, it prevents carbon leakage.
Carbon leakage meaning?
Meaning production moving to countries with lower environmental standards, which would effectively undermine global climate efforts. That's the EU argument.
Okay. But India, Brazil, and South Africa don't see it that way.
No. They argue that these policies disproportionately hurt developing economies. Economies that simply lack the financial resources and the technological capacity to rapidly adopt low-carbon technologies at the pace Europe seems to be demanding. They view it, at least partly, as a form of economic protectionism wearing green clothing.
So they feel existing international forums like the WTO or the UN climate talks aren't adequately addressing these specific concerns.
Precisely. Brazilian officials are quoted as contending that neither the WTO nor the existing UN climate framework adequately addresses these issues, which is why they see the need for this dedicated new forum.
And what would this new forum do?
This new platform is designed to meet multiple times a year. The goal is to develop what they call fair and practical solutions for producers and buyers in the global South, offering a united counter-narrative to the European approach.
And how is India specifically positioned within this new alliance? What's its role?
India's participation clearly reflects its strategic interest, protecting its exporters, shaping a more equitable global trade environment. Indian leaders have consistently acknowledged the urgency of climate action,
Yes.
but they've also unequivocally rejected using environmental policy as a pretext for economic protectionism. For India, it seems to be about balancing environmental responsibility with economic fairness and the fundamental right to development for emerging economies.
Okay, here's where the picture of India's growing influence really crystallizes, I think. We've seen India assert itself regionally in the Indian Ocean through aid and strategic partnerships with Mauritius.
Right.
And now we see it joining forces globally with other major developing economies, Brazil, South Africa, to actively challenge established trade norms and climate policies from powerful blocs like the EU.
It's a step up in scale and scope.
The key insight feels like this alliance signals a significant geopolitical shift, where major developing economies aren't just reacting to global policies anymore. They're proactively working to reshape global governance structures and redefine the balance of power on critical issues like climate change and international trade.
Exactly. This platform aims not only to resist specific European regulations, but to fundamentally reshape the global discourse, ensuring that the voices and the realities of the Global South are prominently included in future policymaking.
It raises that important question again, doesn't it? As India continues to rise, how will its growing influence reshape these global governance structures? How will it redefine the balance of power on critical issues like climate and trade? And what does this actually mean for the future of the multipolar world we seem to be entering?
Big questions with no easy answers, but definitely worth watching.
All right, let's take a brief but probably exciting detour for many listeners, away from geopolitics and economic strategy to a cultural phenomena that stirs immense national pride across both India and Pakistan. Cricket.
Ah, yes, the passion.
Our final report brings us to the Asia Cup.
Right, and this is a high-stakes moment for sports fans across the subcontinent, for sure. Pakistan's head coach, Mike Hesson, has been making some rather bold statements
Ahead of which match?
ahead of the highly anticipated India versus Pakistan clash in the Asia Cup. Now, Pakistan will first face Oman, but let's be honest, the real spotlight is already firmly fixed on Sunday's marquee match against India in Dubai.
Okay, so the immediate game is Oman, but everyone's really looking ahead to Sunday. What's Hesson's key message? What's his strategy for this major showdown?
Well, Hesson emphasized that for his team, pitch conditions are almost secondary to the strength of their spin attack.
Spin is key then.
That's the message. He highlighted the depth of Pakistan's bowling lineup, specifically praising Mohammad Nawaz. He actually called Nawaz the best spin bowler in the world at the moment.
That's a huge claim.
It is. Nawaz's recent hat-trick in the T20 Tri-Series final against Afghanistan has clearly boosted team morale, and it reinforces spin as Pakistan's central weapon, especially on the potentially slow turning pitches often found in the UAE.
Right. For those less familiar, T20 is the shortest, most explosive format of cricket, right?
Right.
Rapid scoring, aggressive bowling are key.
Exactly. High pressure, fast-paced.
So that's a strong claim about Nawaz's prowess. How versatile is their squad overall in terms of bowling options? Do they just rely on spin?
No, the coach underscored the versatility. He noted that Pakistan has 5 dedicated spinners and 5 seamers. Those are the fast bowlers.
Okay, balanced.
This tactical flexibility allows them to significantly adjust their approach depending on the specific surface conditions they encounter on the day. He even mentioned Salman Ali Agha, who is Pakistan's test match spinner, adding further depth to the spin department even though he's had limited opportunities in the shorter formats. It highlights the range of talent they have available.
What about their batting strategy? There are often debates, especially in T20 cricket, around strike rates, how quickly batters score, particularly for the big names.
Hesson did address those ongoing debates, yeah. Specifically about the strike rates of star batters Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan in T20 internationals.
What did he say?
He emphasized the importance of honest player assessments and adapting to the demands of the modern game. He particularly stressed the need for higher strike rates during the power plays.
Power plays being those crucial early overs where only a few fielders are allowed outside the circle, making it easier to hit boundaries.
Exactly. High strike rates there are vital for setting a strong foundation in T20.
So it sounds like Pakistan is coming into this tournament with significant confidence and a pretty well-defined game plan.
They certainly are. Pakistan enters the tournament fresh off that Tri-Series victory. The team appears confident in its balanced squad and its calculated game plan.
Which leans heavily on spin.
Leans heavily on spin dominance, with Nawaz at the forefront, but with a readiness to adjust pace options if the situation demands. This approach really sets the tone for a high-stakes showdown with India, where tactical execution and bowling depth could prove decisive.
Hessan's comments certainly reflect that calculated confidence and a clear game plan, positioning Pakistan as a formidable contender.
Absolutely. The clash promises to be a true test of skill, adaptability, strategic depth, and it'll be watched by millions.
Yeah. The insight here, maybe, is that while this is a sporting event, it's still a high-stakes showdown, where tactical execution, adaptability, that bowling depth they proved decisive. It vividly illustrates how strategy, preparation, and confidence play out even in these hugely popular cultural events, reflecting a calculated belief in one's plan that resonates deeply with national pride.
Absolutely. And the passion and strategic depth surrounding these matches often mirror the intensity and complexities of the other headlines we've discussed today, just, played out on a different field. Hashtag OTOUT, Drew.
Well, what a deep dive that was. We've covered an incredible breadth of topics today, haven't we?
We really have.
From high-level U.S.-India diplomatic maneuvers and those complex geopolitical balancing acts to the challenges within India's domestic political sphere, the future of artificial intelligence and its economic reshaping, India's strategic regional influence, and, even the national passion for cricket.
It's truly remarkable how all these seemingly disparate headlines are in fact interconnected threads. They're all part of the rich and complex tapestry of India's journey in the mid-2020s.
Yeah.
They collectively paint a vivid picture, I think, of a nation that is actively shaping and simultaneously being shaped by these powerful global forces. India is navigating complex challenges, both internal and external, while simultaneously seizing monumental opportunities across almost every sector imaginable.
Okay, so let's leave you, our listener, with this final thought to consider. After hearing about India's ambitious, potentially $500 billion supercomputing project with OpenAI, it's a powerful push against European climate tariffs alongside Brazil and South Africa, and its strategic aid to Mauritius. You might wonder, is India on the cusp of truly solidifying its position as a global leader? Or will the internal political tensions, those ethical dilemmas around AI and politics we discussed, and the external pressures, like those potential G7 tariff proposals, create unforeseen challenges and maybe turbulence on its path?
It's a fascinating question. What stands out to you most about India's trajectory right now as it balances this internal growth with its clearly growing international footprint?
Keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep exploring.
We'll be here to help you dive deeper next time.
Until then, stay curious.